Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome. And welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, today on the Ryan Awesome Show, I'll be talking about AEW Dynamite. So, this is the AEW Dynamite review for November 4th, 2020. And this is the final AEW Dynamite before Full Gear this Saturday night. Now, on tonight's show, we really much didn't have anything that happened on this show. All we saw was video packages and vignettes. That's all we needed to see, because Full Gear is this Saturday. Now we did had a couple of matches. We had MJF and Wardlow versus Sammy, Guevara, and Ortiz. We had Miro versus Trent. We had Private Party versus the Young Bucks. We had that face-to-face between Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. I love that. And we had Red Velvet versus Nyla Rose. And we had the Dark Order versus the Gunn Club and Cody Rhodes in the main event. So yeah, that's everything that happened as far as matches. But yeah, this is a great show to lead off into Full Gear. Now, on tonight's show, we was supposed to have another match on this show. We were supposed to have Scorpio Sky versus Shawn Spears, and that match was canceled. That match was canceled because they said that Scorpio Sky, he came into contact with someone who had the virus. So yeah, he wasn't on the show, so they had to take him away. And so we had first to start off the show, we had Dasha Gonzalez with the Inner Circle. We had Jericho, Hager, and Santana. And Jericho, he congratulates Jake Hager on his victory in his fight. And Jericho pointed out that Hager is 3-0. He's 3-0. He's undefeated. And he has 2 black eyes. So Hager, he had stitches on his face and he had 2 black eyes. And so we had MJF. We had MJF and Wardlow. They interrupt Jericho in an Inner Circle. And MJF, he says, I hate to interrupt. I hate to cut you off, but I'm going to. Of course MJF would say something like that. Of course he would say something like that. And so yeah, he says, I'm going to interrupt you. I hate to interrupt you, but I'm going to. And so he says, I don't want any tension between us, because I noticed last week that there was tension between us, but I don't want that to get between us. And so Jericho, he says that MJF, yes, he checks off everything on his total package, but there's one thing that he's missing. And then he brags about Hager. He says that, Hager, he has 2 black eyes and 15 stitches, but he still won his fight. And then he talks about Santana. He says, look at Santana. He's tough as nails. And then he says, both of them have that killer instinct. And he says to himself, he says, the three of us together, we have that killer instinct. We're crazy in the head, and we would do anything it takes to win. And so he says that MJF doesn't have the killer instinct, and he calls MJF soft. And so MJF, he took that to heart when Jericho said he was soft. And so MJF, he was like, oh, I'm soft? He was like, watch me. Just watch. And so right after that, they went their separate ways. Jericho, he went to commentary. He was on commentary for the remainder of the night. So he goes to commentary, and then we go to the tag team match. We had MJF and Wardlow versus Sammy, Guevara, and Ortiz of the Inner Circle. And the reason for this match is because Sammy, Guevara, and Ortiz, they don't want MJF in the Inner Circle. So that's why this match is happening. And they don't want MJF to make it to Full Gear. So that's another point of this match. And so we had Ortiz in the ring, and he gives Wardlow drop kicks. He was drop kicking Wardlow's leg. He was going after the leg. And then we had a spine buster to Ortiz from Wardlow. And at one point in the match, we had Ortiz and MJF. They were in the ring, and they were going at it. And Ortiz, he bites MJF, and MJF bites him back. So they're biting each other. And we had MJF and Wardlow. They target Ortiz's arm, so they were working on the arm the remainder of the match. And then we had a hot tag. We had a hot tag to Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, he was all over the place. Running in with jumping knees, insecurities. He was diving, all the flips and dives and all that stuff. He was doing all that. He gives a double crossbody to MJF and Wardlow. And then he sends MJF out of the ring. And he gives a corkscrew. It looked like a corkscrew tope suicida to MJF, so he hit that. And then right after that, he went on the other side of the ring. He gives an outside dive to Wardlow. So he dived on MJF, and then he dived onto Wardlow. And then we had MJF and Sammy Guevara in the middle of the ring, standoff. And then we had MJF. He poked Sammy Guevara in the eye. Of course he would do that. And then we had Sammy Guevara delivering his GTH to MJF. And I think that's his finishing move. And I think he calls it the go to hell. So he hits the go to hell to MJF. And he goes for the cover, and Wardlow breaks up the pin. And then we had a standing shooting star press from Wardlow. Not from Wardlow. I could see Wardlow hitting a standing moonsault because he's athletic for his size, but he didn't hit that move. It was Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara delivered a standing moonsault to Wardlow. And that was followed up by a senton to Wardlow from Ortiz. So that was a double team move from those two. And then I think this is the best part of the match. We had a superplex, an avalanche superplex mixed with a powerbomb. It was Ortiz and Sammy. They were at the top rope. They were trying to give MJF a superplex, a double superplex. And then we had Wardlow. He gets on the bottom and grabs Sammy and Ortiz so he can powerbomb them. And so he delivers the move, and MJF takes the worst of it because he's in the superplex position. So Wardlow, he slams everybody down. And so yeah, Wardlow, he actually took out his own partner. And so MJF, he was really hurt and everything. And then we had Wardlow deliver a F10 to Ortiz, and he goes for the cover. And Sammy, he breaks it up with a frog splash, I believe it was. And then we had Sammy, just like what I said before, Sammy was all over the place. Sammy, he delivers a springboard 450 to MJF on the outside of the ring. And then we had somebody in the crowd. With a mask on. It was a Serpentico mask. And it was revealed that it was Matt Hardy. So this is how it happened. They were outside of the ring, and this person dressed in a Serpentico mask tried to give Sammy Guevara a high five, and Sammy flipped him off, and he turned around. Sammy turned around, and the person that was dressed in the mask took off the mask. No, did he take off the mask? Yeah, he took off the mask and threw the chair at Sammy Guevara. And yeah, it was Matt Hardy. We knew it was Matt Hardy. And Jericho even said it on commentary. I knew it was Matt Hardy. And so yeah, Sammy is out of the match. And MJF, he hits his finishing move, his submission move, the Salt of the Earth on Ortiz to win. So Ortiz taps out, and MJF and Wardlow win the tag team match. And so right after the match, we had MJF and Wardlow. They were walking up on a ramp. And MJF, he goes after Chris Jericho, who's on commentary. And he spears him. He spears Chris Jericho through the background. It's the background. It was the background of where the commentary desk was. And so he spears him through that, and he starts pounding on Chris Jericho. And the referee tried to break it up. And then you had Hager and Santana came out and broke it up. And then they helped Chris Jericho up. And Chris Jericho, he was smiling. He wasn't upset. He was actually smiling. And he was smiling because, yeah, that's exactly what he wanted. You know, he said earlier that MJF was soft and that he lacks that killer instinct. And MJF showed him, I'm not soft. And so that's why Jericho was smiling. But yeah, man. About this match though. Yeah, I still don't think it make any sense. Like if you wanted MJF to join your group, you would have already put him in your group. And then you have the other guys in the group that don't want MJF in the group. So you going against what the rest of your group members think. They don't want this guy in your group. And you allowing this to happen. You allowing MJF, you giving MJF an opportunity to join a group that your other group members don't want him to be in. So yeah, that's why it doesn't make any sense. But I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't know. I really don't know what's gonna happen. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see on Friday. Not Friday. We're gonna see on Saturday. We are gonna see. But yeah, that was the end of the match. And right after that, we had an interview. It was Kenny Omega and Tony Schiavone. And so Tony Schiavone, he was in Kenny Omega's home, quote unquote. And he said that he relocated. Kenny Omega said he relocated to Jacksonville. Yeah, at first he said this wasn't even his home. And they had a dog there. And he said this wasn't even my dog. And so he said he relocated to Jacksonville to focus mentally and physically on the tournament. And then he says to Tony Schiavone, I'm in the finals, man. I'm in the finals. And so Tony, he says Adam Hangman Page went through a couple of wars to get to the finals, while you got through the finals with replacement matches. So he's saying that Adam Hangman Page, you went through wars while you had your opponents be replaced. And then he goes on to say, he asks Kenny the question. He says, how do you think those guys feel about being replacements? And then Kenny, he says, how do they feel? How did I feel having a game plan going into these matches and then having the matches pull right from under me? And he says, we boast all the time about being this sport-based product, about, having wins and losses matter. And then he says, Tony Khan, he says, I could have went into this office. I could have went into Tony Khan's office and said to him, how can we handle this situation? And then Kenny, he asks Tony Schiavone, he says, what exactly do Tony Khan would have said? What do you think he would have said? And how he would have responded to that question? And then Tony says, Kenny, you could have asked him, you could have told him to get a bye and went to the finals. And then Kenny says, Tony Khan, he couldn't dispute that, because as a sportsman making it to the finals on his own merits to meet my own tag team partner, which I respect. He says, I thought that it was the proper way to win the eliminator tournament by, he says he thought it was the right thing to do by going through opponents and not getting that bye. And then Tony says that he said that it was obvious that Kenny and Page would be in the finals. Kenny Omega says that what I've been hearing, he said that's what I've been hearing. And is it really that obvious that me and Hangman would be in the finals? And Kenny, he says, I was actually betting on Wardlow for a second, because Hangman, he had a match with Wardlow in the tournament. And so he was betting on Wardlow to win. But it was Adam Page that won. He said Adam Page won, and lo and behold. And Kenny Omega, he asked Tony Schiavone, if you were a betting man, Tony, knowing my history, the tournaments that I won, who would you bet on? And Tony says it would be hard to bet on Kenny Omega, and I have to agree. I have to agree with Tony Schiavone. I am going with Kenny Omega. And then he asked the fans like us, me and you, who are you betting on? And I just answered the question. I'm betting on Kenny Omega to win. Kenny Omega is going to win the tournament, and he's going to fight Jon Moxley. And I think Kenny might turn heel. The cleaner, the heel version of Kenny Omega, the cleaner. I say we get that at Full Gear on Saturday. and we could have a rematch. We could have a rematch between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega might be that guy to take that title away from Jon Moxley. So yeah, a heel Kenny Omega versus a Jon Moxley, a babyface Jon Moxley. Dude, come on, man, take my money, take all of it. So yeah, that's who I think is gonna win, Kenny Omega. And then we had right after this we had Trent with Chuckie T and Orange Cassidy versus Miro with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. And first off, we had Chris Jericho. He recovered after his attack from MJF. So he goes back to the commentary, puts his headset on. And then we had Miro and Trent. They come out, and they're pushing and shoving each other. And this match, it was back and forth. Miro, he took control of this match, but Trent, he was fighting back the entire time, so he wasn't letting go. And it was Miro who hit a back suplex to Trent, and Miro, he takes control of the match, pounding on him and everything. And then Chuckie T, he attacks Kip Sabian, because Kip Sabian, he got involved at one point, and Chuckie T goes after him, and they fought away from the ring. And then Penelope Ford tried to follow them, and Orange, he stops her. And then during the commercial break, we had Penelope Ford going to Orange Cassidy and just slapping him for no reason. She slapped him, slapped his glasses off his face, and then he took her glasses. Orange Cassidy took Penelope Ford's glasses and then put it on his face, and he put his hands in his pockets. And then the Dark Order came out and attacked them. John Silver came out first and blasted Orange Cassidy from behind. And then the rest of the Dark Order, they joined in on the attack. And then they held Orange Cassidy up. And John Silver, he delivered a pump kick to Orange Cassidy. And so the referee threw them out. And then we had Trent fighting back, continuing to fight back with chops. And then we had Trent deliver a half and half suplex to Miro. And then he goes for his running knee. I don't know what he calls it. He goes for his running knee, and Miro, he blocks it. And he delivers a sidewalk slam. Spinning sidewalk slam I think it was. And he goes for a machka kick. I don't know if he calls it a machka kick anymore. He goes for the machka kick, and he misses. And then we had a tope con hero to Miro. So Trent, he knocks Miro out of the ring and delivers a tope con hero. And then he hits a swinging DDT to Miro. And then he goes for his running knee to Miro. He hits it. Miro kicks out at 2. And then Trent, I don't know if he botched it or not, but he goes for a springboard move. And he slips. He slips and falls. And then Miro, he takes advantage of it and delivers the machka kick, follow up by the game over submission move. And so Trent taps out and Miro wins. And right after the match, after the referee held up Miro's hand and they announced him as the winner, he attacks Trent again and delivers the game changer. Not the game changer, the game over submission move to Trent. And then you had Chuckie T come out and try to stop it. And then Kip Sabian followed him. And so they're attacking each other. And the best friends get attacked by Miro and Kip Sabian. And then you had Orange Cassidy come out. Yeah, Orange Cassidy come out and delivered a trust fall to Miro and Kip Sabian. And that was the end of it. And yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with these two. Like, I really don't know what they're going to do with Trent. They might do a tag team match. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Miro. But yeah, that was it. And then we had Jim Ross interviewing Adam Hangman Page. And Page, he drinks his beer. And Jim Ross, he asks Hangman Page, how are you feeling about taking on Kenny Omega in the finals? And then Hangman, he says he feels good. and he says that he had time to prepare. When you see, he says when you see the brackets, you see me on one side, you see Kenny on the other. I kind of knew it was going to be us in the very end. And he says I had a lot of time to prepare, and I had a lot of time to think about it, and I'm going to whip his ass. And Jim Ross, he says, you guys were a great tag team. Arguably the greatest tag team champions in AEW history. How does that partnership is going to play into your strategy on Saturday? And Paige, he says, I know all his moves, and I know how to reverse all of them. And so Jim Ross, he says, dude, I think you're lying to me. I think you're nervous. And he says, are you nervous? And he says, I think you're nervous and you're guzzling that bourbon, which was the drink. And I've got a feeling that that's not the first bourbon you had today. And so he asks him, are you nervous? And Paige, he says, yeah, I'm nervous, right? I think everyone who walks through that tunnel gets nervous. The first day we started this company, I was going to be the first AEW champion. Nobody believed it but me. And they were right. Saturday will be the closest I've gotten a shot of the title since then. If I don't win, I don't know what I've got other than this glass of whiskey. And so that was it. And Ross, he wished Paige good luck. He wished Paige good luck on Saturday. And then we had a video package from the Bucks and FTR. They talked about the rivalry between these two teams before AEW being a thing. And they were debating who is the greatest tag team and who will win. So you have people making predictions during this video package who is going to win. You have people say FTR. You have people say it was going to be the Bucks. And so that was it. And then we had Team Tazz come out. We had Team Tazz come out to the ring. And Tazz gets the microphone and he speaks. Talks about the ranking system first. He says that Cage is 10-1. And Tazz, he says that Cage is 10-1, and then he says that, you know, he's undefeated. Even though he's 10-1, he's still undefeated because that loss, that blemish on his record, that didn't count. And he talking about the match that they had with Mox and Brian Cage, because you know he never submitted, he never tapped out, he never got pinned. So that's why he said that he's undefeated. And he's ranked number 1. Taz brought that up. He's ranked number 1. And Ricky Starks, he says Ricky Starks won the last 10 of his 11 matches, and he's not even ranked in the top 5. And so Taz is really upset about that. And then Ricky Starks, he grabs the microphone, and so he starts talking. He says, every opportunity that was given to me, that was thrown my way, I hit it out of the park. Home runs. I've opened Dynamite and I closed Dynamite, and I have proven why they call me Absolute Ricky Starks. That's why I have a hard time figuring out why I can't even be ranked. And so Team Taz are upset. They're really upset that they don't have matches at Full Gear, so they're not going to Full Gear. And Taz says that both Cody and Darby have a lot in common. They're both entitled, spoiled, and both given everything they want. And Taz says to Cody, you run around here with your fancy good looks, your chiseled body, your custom suits, with your fancy championship. Anybody who knows you know that you live by the motto, do the work. And Team Taz has done the work. And unfortunately right now, Team Taz is getting worked. And he says that this Saturday, there will be an FTW presence. So, yeah, I mentioned this, I believe it was last week. Yeah, or it might have been a week before that. I think Ricky Starks might get involved in this match. He's going to get involved in the Darby Allin and Cody Rhodes match at Full Gear. So, yeah, that's what I think. And then we had Private Party with Matt Hardy versus the Young Bucks. And so when Private Party was making their entrance to the ring with Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara came out of nowhere and delivered a twist of fate to Matt Hardy on the ramp. And so yeah, that was his payback from earlier. And then they were helping them up. Officials and referees, they were helping Matt Hardy up to get to the back. And then we started off the match with, and the Young Bucks came out and they fought. And we had an arm drag. We had an arm drag to Mark Quinn, transition to an arm bar from Nick. And then we had a double drop kick to Private Party. I'm just skipping ahead. And another thing, these tag team matches, I cannot take notes, so please bear with me. If I didn't get everything, just please bear with me. So we had a double drop kick to Private Party. We had a top rope dive to Private Party from the Bucks. We had the story of the match was Matt's ankle. And people in the commentary team were wondering why they're competing tonight if they have a match on Saturday with FTR. And they were like, they could ruin their opportunity. They could ruin their tag team championship opportunity by competing tonight. And so Matt his ankle acts up. Like right after he hit that outside move, him and Nick did, and he landed right on his ankle. So that was the story of the match. And then we had a diving crossbody to Matt from one of the Private Party guys. And then we had Tope Suicidas to the Bucks from Private Party. And then we had Matt Jackson knocking off Isaiah Cassidy off of the top rope. When Isaiah Cassidy was going on to the top rope, he was trying to hit a hot flying move, and Matt just knocks him off the top rope. He just pushes him off, and Isaiah Cassidy, he just hit that ramp hard. He hit it. And then we had an assisted senton to Mark Quinn, and Isaiah Cassidy breaks up the pin. And then we had a diving foot stomp to Mark Quinn. And then we had a northern suplex to Mark Quinn. Quinn kicks out at 2. We had a double Hurricane Rana to the Bucks from Mark Quinn. We had a top rope spinning plancha to the Bucks from Isaiah Cassidy. We had Matt Jackson, his ankle is continuing to act up. And then we had Gin and Juice. We had a Gin and Juice to Nick. And Matt breaks up the pin. Barely breaks up the pin. And then we had a shooting star press attempt from Mark Quinn. And he missed. And right after he missed, Matt Jackson, he delivers a spear to Mark Quinn. And then Nick, he super kicks Isaiah Cassidy. And then Matt tries to super kick Mark Quinn. And Quinn, he grabs the leg. He grabs the leg, the bad leg. And then Nick comes out of nowhere and just super kicks Mark Quinn. And then the Bucks, they try to go for the Meltzer driver. And Private Party, they stopped it. The last time they stopped it. They stopped it the same way. And then we had a roll-up. We had a roll-up counter. A roll-up after roll-up after roll-up. Counter after counter. And then we had the Bucks, one of the Bucks in the roll-up position. And so one of them kicked out. And then we had the BTE trigger from the Bucks to Mark Quinn to win. So the Young Bucks win the match. And FTR, they attacked the Young Bucks. And then we had the Goodnight Express to Matt Jackson. I like the Shatter Machine better. The name Shatter Machine sounds better. So they went for the Goodnight Express to Matt. They hit it. And then they try to break the ankle again. They try to break Matt Jackson's ankle again. And then you had Hangman Adam Page with a drink in the hand with Kenny Omega. And they both come out. And then you had a standoff between Page and Omega. They were looking at each other. And Kenny, he had his back turned to Hangman. Hangman turned him around. Said, don't you turn your back on me. And stuff like that. While he had the drink in his hand. And so, that was the end of that. And, I'm surprised that Hangman came out to help the Bucks. Because they had their issues in the past. But, he came out. Him and Kenny came out. Hangman came out first. And then Kenny Omega came out after him. So, that was it. And, I can't wait for this match. I can't wait for the tag team match. And then you had, right after this, you had the face-to-face. I love the face-to-face. Between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. You had Tony Schiavone in the ring. And, earlier in the show, they mentioned that Eddie Kingston cannot touch Jon Moxley. They cannot touch each other or the match is off on Saturday. And then you had, yeah, they Tony Schiavone, he introduced both of them to come out to the ring. Eddie Kingston came out first, and then Jon Moxley came out last. And then Eddie Kingston, he tells Tony Schiavone to get out of the ring, and he gets in Jon Moxley's face. And when they meant face to face, they were literally face to face. They were face to face, nose to nose. They were all up in each other's faces. And Eddie Kingston, he tells Jon Moxley, "You think this is a game? I'm gonna destroy you Saturday. I'm gonna ruin you. I'm gonna take the championship. I'm gonna hand it to my mother, and I'm gonna tell her, Ma, the reason why you don't have a grandchild is because of this, the championship. The reason why I didn't give you a daughter-in-law is because of this. This is all that matters in our sport." Talking about the championship. This is all that matters in our sport. No other championship means that much. Only this championship, and you're holding it. I had to sell out. You know, he says I had to take you out. I had to sell out. I had to become everything I hated. It's too late for me, John. It's too late for me. You ain't gonna save anybody. And I'm taking that championship away from you. And that was it from Eddie Kingston. And so it was Jon Moxley's turn to speak. And John, he says, they always say, be careful who you call your friends. Me, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. Because the longer I'm in this business, the more I learn that loyalty is a bitch. And I've been burned time and time again. But I have never thought I'd get burned by you. I was happy for you. And Eddie Kingston, he tries to interrupt. You know, like, dude, you wasn't happy for me. And Moxley tells him to shut up, man. Like, shut up. Let me speak. Let me say what I have to say. And he says, I was happy for you. And I was happy for your mom. And Eddie Kingston gets mad. He gets mad because Jon Moxley talks about his mom. And Eddie was like, man, don't you ever mention my mom again. He was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, your mom, Ruthie. Call her by her name. And he says, yeah, Ruthie, whose kitchen table I sat at, who I said grace with, who I made a promise to, that I'll look after you and that I'll always have your back no matter what trouble you cause for yourself. I made that promise to her, and I guess I broke that promise. And he says to Eddie Kingston, the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. So he calling Eddie Kingston weak. And Eddie, he says, he was shaking his hand like, I ain't weak. So Eddie, he had his back turned to Moxley. He says, I ain't weak. And then Moxley was like, oh, so you ain't weak? So what's going on up there then, in that head of yours? And Moxley said he thinks you know what it is. And he says, after 18 years, you finally get your shot this Saturday. The shot you never thought you would get. Deep down in your heart, you're going to be in the ring with the AEW champion. The best wrestler on the planet right now. And you're going to lose. After 18 years, it turns out that you didn't deserve it after all. And the worst part about this is that you made a promise to your mother that you can't keep. I was like, dang. And then Eddie, he was mumbling to himself saying, man, I'm going to mess you up. I will end you. He was mumbling to himself the entire time. And then Eddie, he says, you better get ready to kill me. You better get ready to kill me. This is real. This is real. And he was daring Jon Moxley to take him out right now. And so, and Moxley, he says, Eddie Kingston, he walks away. He gets out of the ring and walks away. And then Moxley says that when he wins, the only thing Eddie Kingston is going to have left is his ego. And so he said he's going to make Eddie Kingston say, I quit. So, yeah, man, this is... I'm telling you this right now, man. I loved every second about this face-to-face. The intensity was there. Everything. They have hit every nail. Like, they are getting you ready for this. They are getting you ready for this. And they've done a damn good job at doing it. The story, the backstory, the history. Man, I cannot wait. They can't do nothing else, man. They cannot do anything else. They already got me sold on this. And this face-to-face put the cherry right on top of the cake. on an ice cream sundae rather. So yeah, that was it. And then right after this, we had Pac. Now we thought we was gonna see Pac tonight. I thought that we were gonna see Pac, but we didn't see Pac. He had a vignette. It was a vignette about Pac, and we had. It shows him. He was sitting at a place. I guess it was his home, and they had like visuals of him in his wrestling gear, and he was sitting on the couch with his suit, and they had not pictures, but like it looked like it would have been actual packs. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. But yeah, he says the funny thing about isolation is that you have nobody to play with. 7 months. He's been gone for 7 months. On the far side of the Atlantic, yet again, a casualty of this rotten world. Don't you worry about the old mate. I've been here before. Lost, abandoned. They wanted me to crumble. Every day that passes, I get better and stronger and faster and more obsessive. Last, I see everything. And that was it. That's exactly what he said. And then right after that, we had Alex Marvez. He interviews QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. And before he could interview them, we had Allie. She interrupts the Natural Nightmares. And she has, like, it looked like she had cards in her hand, like credit cards and stuff like that. She was saying that, I don't even know what she said, actually. But I know she said something about the credit cards being maxed out. And then you had the Butcher and the Blade. They attacked the Natural Nightmares. You had weapons. You had trash cans. And they pulled down the background setting on top of the Natural Nightmares. And that was it. So we had the Butcher and the Blade going against QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes at some point in the future. And then right after this, we had the women's match. We had Red Velvet, who's been doing her thing on AEW Dark, with Brandi Rhodes in her corner, versus Nyla Rose with Vickie Guerrero in her corner. And this was a squash match. This was a squash match. We had Red Velvet going after Rose, wasting little time, deliver her drop kicks, and then Rose, she counters with a clothesline to Velvet. And we had Velvet trying to go for a diving move on top of Nyla Rose. Dumb decision. Nyla Rose catches her, delivers the power bomb, her beast bomb, and goes for the cover. And she canceled the cover. She goes for the 1-2, and she just picks up Red Velvet's head to stop the pin. And then she goes for Hikaru Shida's finishing move. I don't know what she calls it, but it's the running knee. That running knee strike that Shida does. And she hits it, goes for the cover, goes for the 1-2-3, and Nyla Rose wins. And that was it. Nothing happened. And right after the match, you had Vickie Guerrero. She gets the microphone, and she talking trash to Brandi Rhodes. And then she calls her the not the CBO, but the CBSO, which means the Chief Bullshit Officer. And she tells Brandi to get out of the way. Get out of here. Like, Brandi, she took offense to it, tried to attack Vickie Guerrero, and Nyla Rose stepped right into her way. And that was it. And then she turns her attention to Hikaru Shida, who was sitting in the crowd with the AEW Women's Championship. And she says that, Tony Khan made you accept the challenge for the AEW Women's Championship against Nyla Rose. And Vickie says that Nyla is going to break your bones and make you cry, and you're going to surrender the title. And she says, enjoy your last 3 days of being a champion. And she said something in Japanese. I think she said, I don't know the word in Japanese, but she said, excuse me, in Japanese. And so she takes offense to that, grabs Vickie by the throat, and Nyla Rose attacks Shida. And they're fighting each other, and referee breaks it up. And that was it. I don't know what's, like, dude, that title is going right back to Nyla Rose. I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. They need to do a better job with their women's division. They need to do a better job with their women's division. Like, Shida's done nothing with the title. She defended the championship, but there's nobody else left. There's nobody else left to defend their championship against. And so if you put the title on Nyla Rose, then Nyla Rose will have a lot of competition. So that's why I think they're gonna give the title right to Nyla Rose. They're gonna give it right back to her. And yeah, that was the end of this. And then we had a video package from Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page talking about them, their history as a tag team, and who's gonna win, and their breakup, and that was it. Nothing else happened. And then you had news for AEW. It said that Allison Kay and Serena Deeb will be fighting at Full Gear for the NWA Women's Championship at the buy-in at Full Gear. Now you need to put this on the actual show. You need to put this on the main show and put the AEW Women's Championship on the pre-show, because this match deserved to be on the main show. And then next week we have a rematch between Pentagon and Phoenix. So yeah, that should be good. And then we had Darby Allin. Vignette. We had a card painted. We had a card that was painted. It says "Face of TNT." And then he had his skateboard and he smashes the windows with the skateboard that he had. And he gets in the car and he runs over Cody. He runs over somebody that was dressed as Cody. And he runs that person over with the car. And Darby Allin is a man of few words. He doesn't say much. But his vignettes do the talking for him. So yeah. And right after this we had the main event. We had the Dark Order, Silver, number 10, and Colt Cabana versus the Gunn Club, Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, and Cody Rhodes, with Arn Anderson in his corner. And Darby Allin, he was there. He watched from the crowd, and there was really much of nothing in this match. You had Silver slap Cody. Cody delivers an uppercut to Silver. We had a back suplex to Cabana from Billy Gunn. We had a double A spine buster to Austin Gunn from number 10. We had the Dark Order taking control of this match. And yeah, they were attacking these guys. And then we had Billy Gunn deliver a famouser to number 10. And we had Cody Rhodes deliver a power slam to John Silver. And we had Cody Rhodes delivering a top rope dive from Cody to the outside of the ring onto Colt Cabana. And we had a cutter from number 10 to Billy Gunn. And we had John Silver go for a tope suicida, and Cody catches him. He catches John Silver and just slings him into the crowd. And we had a crossroads from Austin Gunn to Colt Cabana. And we had a quick draw. Austin Gunn's finishing move, he calls it the quick draw. And he hits it on number 10. And he pins number 10 for the win. So yeah, Cody and the Gunn Club, they win. And right after this match, we had the Dark Order. They try to attack the Gunn Club and Cody Rhodes. And they're on one side of the ring. And you had John Silver on the other side of the ring with a steel chair in his hand, while they had their backs turned to him. And you had Orange Cassidy come out of nowhere from behind, takes the chair away from John Silver, and delivers the orange punch to John Silver, and that was it. And then we had Cody Rhodes. He grabs the microphone and he says, "My opponent at Full Gear is telling everybody that TNT doesn't want him as the face of the network. He's too reckless. That's not true. That's not true. TNT would love to have you as its champion, Darby. Someone with your talent, they would love it. If the circumstances were different, I would love it too." Cody says, "I recruited you. I'm the one that floated your name to the EVPs, and they were unsure of you. I had to wrestle you myself. Take one last look he tells Darby to take one last look. You're looking at the man. You're looking at the man, the superstar who left the Empire, went to war, and actually won. And that pisses a lot of people off because the truth that I speak contradicts the lies that a lot of people live. And he tells Darby Allin to stop lying. You want the TNT Championship. You want to be the face of AEW. You want to be the ace. He said you want to be the ace. No. Yeah, he says you want the ace belt. Here's the problem. You're not the ace. And Cody, he holds up the title, signifying that he's the ace. And that was the end of Dynamite. This, yeah, just like what I said before, nothing that much happened on this show. They just got you ready for Full Gear. They just try to get you ready for Full Gear, and that was it. And yeah, overall, this is a great show. This is a great show. Great show. They're giving you a reason why to watch Full Gear. They're getting you prepared, and they've done a great job so far. Now my predictions. The predictions, I say that FTR will retain. I say FTR retain. Who wins the finals of the AEW Eliminated Tournament? I say Kenny Omega. Who wins the World Championship between Moxley and Eddie Kingston? I'm going with Moxley. And Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose, I'm going with Nyla Rose. They got to take that title off of Shida. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's probably more matches that I'm missing, but oh yeah, Inner Circle, MJF and Chris Jericho. I don't know who wins. That's the only thing I don't know. MJF and Inner Circle, MJF and Chris Jericho. I don't know, but yeah, that's been the end of Dynamite. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. What are you waiting for? Hit the thumbs up and turn on that bell for all notifications. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell for all notifications. And this, ladies and gentlemen, has been the Ryan Awesome Show. And yeah, I will be reviewing Full Gear. It might be another day. It might be the next day, or maybe Monday. I'm not sure yet, but I will have a Full Gear review. But yeah, that's everything, ladies and gentlemen. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for all notifications, and share this video with your friends, your families. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. And that's that.